there everybody, Sam's Trains here, welcome back to the Railway and welcome back to another Bachmann Thomas and Friends engine review. About 2 years ago now, I posted my review of the Hornby Thomas, which I reviewed as part of a train set, and really ever since that video I've had loads of comments and messages saying, will you get the Bachmann Thomas? And on top of that, in general, people normally say that the Bachmann Thomas and Friends range is way better than the Hornby one, except for Thomas. A lot of people say that they prefer the Hornby Thomas, so that was very interesting to me, of course, and so that was making me naturally quite curious to find out really which one is the best. So I have the Bachmann Thomas here he is. Noticeably he's really tiny, and we'll get onto that later on, but anyway, yes, he's what I'm going to be reviewing today. I hope you're going to enjoy it, and let's get on with it straight away. And here it is, here's his packaging, and as you can see it is the more modern packaging with the sort of clouds in the background, and I've only had maybe a couple of models come with this later packaging. I think it was either Oliver or Rosie, something like that came with this one, but yeah, maybe that means that this is the latest version of the Bachmann Thomas. That would be nice. And if I show you the back of the box, you can see that there are lots of other engines to choose from, and I've noticed that there are 3 Thomases available. You've got the Thomas with analog sound, and then you've got the Celebration Thomas, which I found quite funny. I don't watch Thomas religiously, so I don't get the reference with that, but it looks like he's got sort of flags and bunting stuck all over him, which I guess begs the question, what about the other engines? I mean, what happened to the Celebration Gordon, for example? Although actually I don't imagine Gordon would be too happy about people sticking flags all over him, so that makes sense. But no, anyway, this is just the regular Thomas as far as I know, nothing too special about this one, although it would be cool to try the sound one. If anyone's got that, let me know if it's any good. Let's check in with Thomas then. There he is. He looks pretty happy actually. I think, to be honest, he just likes being in the limelight, doesn't he? So at least he's not scared about being inside the packaging or anything like that. So let's get him out then, and what I always do with these is I just cut into the back of the package like this, just so that I can get them out more easily, and it also means that I can reuse the packaging if necessary too. So let me grab hold of him. Come on, Thomas. There's a lot of people here want to see you. There he is. So I'll just sit Thomas there for a second, and I'll grab the instructions just in case anybody wants to see those. So it looks like we've got quite a bit of paperwork here. So we've got I think that's something to do with warranty. I would spend time looking at it, but I know you guys aren't interested, so I'll check that on my own later. This is also the 90-day limited warranty. Yeah, we won't bother looking at that. And then of course we've got this. This is the exploded diagram. And unfortunately we haven't got a creepy face on this one. The face is looking the other way, unfortunately. But as you can see, you've got all of Thomas's mechanism there. It shows quite clearly how all the eye mechanism goes together and everything, with a list of all the part numbers too, so obviously if something goes wrong you can order the necessary part and get it replaced. If Bachmann still do that, I suppose they would do. And let's take a look at Thomas then, the Thomas the Blue engine, number 1. Right, come on Thomas, don't want to hurt him. There we go. Quite awkward to get him out of there actually. But yeah, there he is. He's absolutely tiny. He really is. Shall I grab the Hornby one to show you a size comparison? Here it is then. And as you can see, yes, the Hornby one is probably twice as big. It's absolutely huge. Now, there is the fact that the Bachmann Thomas range is produced in HO scale, whereas the Hornby ones are 00. And yes, that would mean that the Bachmann ones were slightly smaller, but this is more than slightly smaller, I would say. It's quite a lot smaller. But that's because obviously the Hornby Thomas is more based on the E2, and it is actually made with the Hornby E2 tooling, I believe, whereas of course the Bachmann Thomas was specifically designed to be Thomas. So yeah, very nice model. You'll notice there's no front coupling, strangely, fitted onto this, although you could get one if you wanted to and glue it on there, but that's very strange. I believe most of them did have front couplings, so that's an odd, point, but other than that, look at this, isn't he cool? Okay, here's a little bit of history on Thomas. I know most of you know who Thomas is and what he's all about, but I think Thomas would be a little bit upset if I didn't give him his 5 minutes of fame. So here we go, here's a little bit of Thomas's history. So Thomas was built in 1915 as an LB and SCR E2 tank engine, of course, and he was designed to be a station pilot at the big station on Sodor. However, this wasn't Thomas's dream. Thomas's dream was to work on his very own branch line, and after lots of hard work and persuasion, he was given 2 coaches called Annie and Clarabelle, and he was sent to work on the Farquhar branch line, where I think he still works today. Thomas is quite accident prone though, and his naivety and forgetfulness often lands him in a bit of trouble, but he normally manages manages to pull through with the help of the other engines, of course. Thomas is now well over 100 years old. I think he's 103 or something like that, but he continues to work on Sodor still to this day. So let's take a look at some of Thomas's details then. There he is up against the white background, and actually the detail on this is really quite impressive. I might go as far as to say this is the best Bachmann Thomas and Friends model in terms of detail. It's definitely up there with Oliver in that there is the most detail in the smallest space, and I might even go as far as to say it's better than the Hornby one in terms of detail, because it's got a lot of features that the Hornby one actually doesn't, which is unusual because it's normally the Hornby Thomas and Friends models that have the more detail, but not so with this one in my opinion at least. So I'll talk about that in a second, but first of all let's take a look at the face. The face is generally quite good as far as I'm concerned. Obviously I'm no expert, but to me that looks like a good face. He doesn't look too surprised, his eyes don't look too scary, and to me that looks like Thomas's face. And obviously yes, the eyes do work on this model, so we'll take a look at that later on. But apart from the face, the detail is so good. Let's take a look at the paintwork. As you can see, you've got the lining on top of the boiler, loads of stripes. There's like 6 stripes up on top of there, so that's really quite good. All nicely lined, and of course the side of his tanks has got that red lining too on it, with his number 1 in the centre there, which again is nicely applied. And then the side of his running board is done in red, of course, and as usual with this Sodor livery, you've got the grey on top, which I always think looks really, really nice. You've also got the yellow lining around the cab. The cab isn't really a real cab, there's no actual cab space behind there. Presumably some of the mechanism is inside there. But as I say, you have got the lining, and the windows round the back as well. Those round windows also have the yellow lining on them too. There's also a lot of separately fitted work going on with this. So just in front of Thomas's cab you can see he's got his safety valves here. They are made of plastic, but that's fair enough. They are separately fitted though. And then on the front buffer beam you've also got nice realistic buffers. They're not sprung or anything like that, but you've also got the vacuum pipe and a coupling hook there separately fitted. You've also got lamp irons here, which is something that wasn't present on my Hornby Thomas, and amazingly on the far end there you've even got a lamp fitted, which is really, really nice to see. Another really nice design feature of this as well is the steps. As you can see, they look like quite fine steps, but actually on the inside, let me show you, on behind the steps, you might not see this. If I lie them down though, you can see that the steps have been reinforced with that sort of grey plastic, which is a really, really clever idea, because obviously the steps are going to be a weakness, and with this being a toy, Bachmann have obviously realised that those need to be reinforced, and that's something that isn't the case with the Hornby ones. The Hornby ones are still quite vulnerable to being broken, but yeah, I would bet that these Bachmann ones are going to be a little bit more robust than that. Anyway, Thomas's coal looks pretty good. It's quite glossy, but fairly highly detailed nonetheless. And you've also got another separately fitted and separately painted lamp on the back as well, which is really, really nice to see. And then, of course, the back buffer beam is very much similar to the front one, with the coupling hook and vacuum pipe and such. And generally, as you can see, it really, really is a nicely proportioned, really cute looking model, I would say. So really, really happy with this as far as detail and aesthetics go. So let's get Thomas down onto the track. I'm sure he's dying to be reunited with his Annie and Clarabelle. I don't have the Bachmann Annie and Clarabelle, unfortunately. I've only got the Hornby ones, so hopefully he won't mind having to pull those. But nonetheless, hopefully you'll enjoy it. Let's get him down to the track then and see how he does on performance. So there he is then, the Bachmann Thomas down onto the track, looking absolutely fantastic, and I'm going to test his slow speed performance for you in just a second, but first I will show you what's further up the line. As you can see, Annie and Clarabelle are just there waiting for him, and also waiting just back down the line is the Hornby Thomas, because I think we're going to do the ultimate Hornby versus Bachmann today, and get these two to do a little bit of a race. But before I do, let's try this slow speed performance then. Are you ready, Thomas? Let me just give you a little bit of juice then, and we'll see how you get on. And as you can see, the slow speed performance on this is unbelievably good. I mean, this is a kid's toy, and yet it outperforms a lot, a lot of super expensive models. I don't have very many models that can do a nice crawl like this. I mean, just look. That is absolutely incredible. It's not great on express points, but to be honest with you, I'm really considering giving this a 5 out of 5 on performance, just because it really is that good. He got over the express points. You probably didn't see that because it's out of shot, but really he is a great performer. Really, really good. Alright, let's do this race then. Let's back Thomas up to Annie and Clarabelle. Nice and steadily does it. There you go. I think Thomas has coupled. What I'll do then is I'll get him to back up so that he's next to the Hornby Thomas. There we go. Are you perfectly in line there? Yeah, I think that's a fair enough start. And let's get this race underway then. So obviously when you race on a railway like this, the loco on the inside doesn't have as far to go. So you should really do 2 laps with each engine on different lines so that it is fair. However, if the Bachmann Thomas wins the first lap, that means that he's much faster because he's gone further and yet still beaten the Hornby Thomas. If the Hornby Thomas wins the first lap, we will then go ahead and do a second lap and find out who's the winner over both. But ready to go then. I've got the controllers ready. I'm about to give them power. 3, 2, are you guys ready? Come on, you've got to be ready. 3, 2, 1, go. Oh man, looks like the Hornby Thomas is definitely a little bit faster. Oh yeah, by a long way. So there they go, up Gordon's Hill. The Hornby Thomas is miles in the lead. Behind the bookcase, the Hornby Thomas is still miles in the lead. And I don't think the Bachmann Thomas is going to do any better at beating that. So I think Hornby has to win this. Back round to the front. Yeah, it's the Hornby one by a mile. So I think it would be pointless to do a second lap because, yeah, the Hornby version there just absolutely outperformed the Bachmann one. So let's bring the Bachmann Thomas in, who's down at the country station. Not too bad though. I mean, I would say that the Bachmann one is the better performer, but if it's speed you want, unfortunately Hornby wins. There we go. Never mind, Bachmann Thomas, you did your best. Anyway, let's do this running session then. Let's get these 2 running. There we go. At a more gentle speed now. There we go. And of course we've got to have an engine on the inside line as well. So there you can see him on the left there, just waiting to come into the shot. Come on Gordon, you can come in. So this is of course Gordon. No, don't be shy Gordon, come forwards. This is Gordon with some Pullman coaches today. He's got quite a grand looking train. I thought really we needed a bit of maturity on the line today, what with 2 Thomases running around. So I think Gordon will keep the situation under control there. And also see which other engines you can spot on the line today. They all have a common theme except one, so see if you can name the other engines and also name the odd one out. Okay, enjoy the running session. There he goes, and as you can see, he really is a really good smooth runner. I noticed that when I did that shunting video with him. He's just so good and smooth. Can't fault him really. And here comes the Hornby one if I just turn back. The Hornby one's pretty smooth too actually. But I think the Bachmann one just wins on the smoothness front. But they're both pretty good reliable runners actually. So whichever you prefer, performance is similarly good on both. And let's not forget Gordon, who's giving a nice, calm, slightly pompous performance today, but that's what we all love Gordon for. And he's looking very smart, I must say, with his Pullmans. So if you haven't already, decide in the poll which Thomas is your favourite, the Bachmann one or the Hornby one. And if you like, down in the comments you can tell me your reasons why if you want to. Ah, it's Gordonception. What's happening? Multiple Gordons. And multiple Thomases. Ah, multiple Edwards too. What's going on? I'm scared. I suppose I ought to say as well, hadn't I, which one I prefer. I'm going to go ahead and say the Bachmann one just because it's smaller and a bit cuter. But there's not a lot in it. I really do like both, to be honest. So here are my ratings then on the Bachmann Thomas. First of all, detail, I've given it 2 out of 5. I really wanted to give it 3 because yes, the detail is extremely good on the Bachmann one. But I've got to be honest, and compared with the super detailed models that I often look at this channel, it would be a bit unfair to give it a 3 out of 5. But he does really well on all of the other categories. So power, 3 out of 5. Yes, he's only an 060 and he's not a very heavy 060, so he's not a great puller. But slow speed, I've given it 5 out of 5. You saw how good that slow speed was. Absolutely incredible for a toy. Similarly, quality 4 out of 5, with the exception of not having any proper turned metal bearings on the inside of the chassis. The quality is generally very good. He's very sturdily built and designed cleverly so that he's not going to be too fragile. Value then, I paid about £50 for this, I think, which actually isn't too bad considering that some of the Bachmann Thomas models go for double that. So that's not too bad. I've given it 4 out of 5, although I wish it was cheaper as a kid's toy. Overall then, that is 7.67 out of 10, and into the ranking he goes. That places Thomas 12th, just above the Fairburn Tank and below the 4575 class. Okay folks, well that is just about going to do it for today. Hope you enjoyed my Thomas review, of course. It's been a long time since I've reviewed the Hornby Thomas, so it's nice to be having Thomas in the limelight again today. But that's all I've got to say. Thank you very much for watching, as always, and I will see you all again very, very soon. Cheers everybody.